every weekend. I mean, you know, like I'm Carlos Amesqua. Wouldn't it be nice to have a long weekend every weekend? I mean, you know, like you take every Friday off or every Monday off, just work 4 days.
Just let me live, Linda. I just want to live. Give me 3 days off. I mean, we were just talking about it. When we used to work in San Diego and do the morning show.
5 days a week.
5 days a week, 5 hours a day. It was a grind. I mean, we were on television 5 days.
Yeah,
then it was like,
on the air for 5 hours.
Then it was like,
not to mention all the other
stuff. And it's like, how do you have time to cook or go to the grocery? Not that I cook, but go to the grocery store, like do your laundry or get your dry cleaning.
How do you watch TV?
How do I watch more television? I need time for this, Carlos.
So Microsoft recently decided to try out a 4-day work week for its employees at one of its subsidiaries, and of all places, Japan.
So you'd think less days in the office means less work gets accomplished. Well, actually, in this particular case, it was the opposite. In Japan, the company found a 40% boost in productivity.
That's not surprising. The Japanese are among the most productive people on the planet.
Sure.
So it's interesting that Microsoft picked Japan.
But then to add 40% to that, that's saying something, right?
So the trial was part of Microsoft's Work-Life Choice Challenge. They gave every employee Fridays off during the entire month of August.
Now, getting companies to move to a 4-day work week here in the States would be a very significant change. So why even test this theory?
Somebody should. And Microsoft might as well have done it,
Right.
So we asked business strategist Mark Fenner. He says with record low unemployment, businesses are being pressured to make these types of changes to attract young, smart people who are now entering the workforce.
That generation is typically younger and more focused on having this so-called work-life balance.
You know, companies need to look at attracting employees in a way that's similar to how you attract customers, through a unique brand, a brand that's unique and valuable to the market that you want to serve. And so the idea of a 4-day work week has a tremendous amount of validity if it's going to get your employees more engaged. What a company has to be careful of is you also have to serve shareholders and you have to serve customers.
If you're serving your shareholders, you got to make sure that they're going to say, don't pay them for Friday. But employees want to be paid for Friday, just like if they're working a 40-hour work week. So it's kind of an interesting balancing act that employers have to play there.
Well, yeah, I mean, but all of these companies that are testing it have not cut the people's pay.
That's right.
But
are
just
they haven't.
Yeah, which, I mean, makes a lot of sense, right? So another big change that Microsoft made or is testing here is reducing the time spent in horrible meetings. How many times have you sat there and you're like an hour and a half deep in a meeting and you're like, why am I here?
Yeah.
Why do I have to sit through this nonsense? Well, in this test, they placed a limit on it. They made it 30 minutes, that's it. Or you can have a remote patch-in into the meeting. You don't even have to physically be there.
Or like that commercial where everybody's talking and they're all bored, and then suddenly the sandwiches come in and they all light up.
Yes, exactly.
Food always takes care of longer meetings, but not so really. So Microsoft isn't the only company trying out the 4-day work week. The popular burger chain Shake Shack is also testing it out.
In fact, 15% of 60,000 U.S. companies involved in a survey conducted by Society for Human Resource Management say they are currently offering 32-hour work weeks. That's up slightly from 2017. So 15% of U.S. companies are already doing this.
Yeah, so 32 hours instead of 40. And
with
still
the same pay.
Getting paid the same as you would if you were working 40 hours. Okay.
Brilliant idea.
So this New Zealand company, they found that if they reduced the work week to 32 hours but kept employees' salaries the same, get this is really interesting. Employee stress is decreased by 7%, and overall work satisfaction is increased by 5%. She looks really stressed.
She's stressed. But that makes, look at, if even 1 or 2 percentage points may mean the difference between retaining quality talent or losing that quality talent to competitors who do have this.
And are going to, that's the environment, the whole culture of the company. So on the other hand, CEO of the education company Treehouse tried the 4-day work, 32-hour work week concept and found that it actually decreased their work ethic. It was a mess.
It was a mess. He went on it. They did a whole article about how he was not happy with the results. And Mark has an idea about why that is.
And there's been some people in America who have tried it that have self-confessed that, you know what, it robbed me of my work ethic. I mean, too much time on my hands made me lazy. And it kind of reminds me of when I was in college working in restaurants, when the restaurant was busy, we were more productive. When they were slow, we started goofing off and not getting as much done. And our customer satisfaction scores, if they were measuring them back then, probably went down.
You know, the other thing,
It's
Mark.
gotta be true, yeah.
You know, the other thing Mark mentioned when we were talking about the idea of this four-day work week and the Microsoft test and how it increased production by 40%.
Yeah.
He was like, well, just, you know, they only did it for a month. They tested it for a month. And think for yourself when you go on vacation. Like, you're really productive before you go on vacation. Then you go on vacation, you get back and everything's normal again. So he said, I mean, it might not be reality long term, the four-day work week.
Yeah, it doesn't work for all businesses because they simply don't have the flexibility to be able to do a lot of things like customers, and 5 days, you know, for restaurants have to work. Like, we're on TV 5 days a week.
Right.
And so, you know, there's no flexibility in that schedule.
Well, also, the other example that Mark pointed out was like grocery stores.
Yeah.
You know, grocery stores these days are 24, most of them are 24 hours.
A day,
and, you know, again, it goes back to serving the customers, and sometimes it just doesn't work. And somebody's got to work that overnight hour to serve the customer.
That's right. But there are other ways companies can help accommodate their employees, such as offering them the option of working from home 1 or 2 days a week.
I'm also seeing clients that are taking a goal and tying the team to the goal on a weekly basis. And when they deliver the results for the goal, then they go home. So in a sense, it's similar to what Microsoft did, but what they're doing is they're tying people to their ability to get the work done and to work as a team. So working as a team, the team members hold each other accountable, the team members cheer each other on, and the benefit for getting to the goal is work-life balance. They get off early on Friday, or maybe they get done on Thursday and they don't come in on Friday at all.
Yeah, I've heard of companies where they finish a project and they're off for a month.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's paid up because they finished their project.
Right. I mean, but of course that's lovely. But don't forget that, you know, burning the candle at both ends before the project to get it all done. Right.
Yeah, that's true.
That's the goal oriented. Thought process, which I think is a great idea, right?
Yeah, it is.
But that's what we're doing here.
We're grinding it out, but we're getting the projects completed, and then we take time off. So we asked Mark also if he ever sees a day in the future where 4-day work weeks are pretty much the norm. He doesn't anticipate such a radical change anytime soon. He says too many things in our society will have to shift, and that would be like trying to turn around the Titanic.
Yeah, I mean, look at our whole society is based around a 5-day work week, 2 days off. Like that's just it would be very impossible at this point to do that. But he does say that companies do need to be thinking outside the box if they want to retain the right talent. So maybe it's not a 4-day work week that your company is going to do. Maybe it's let them work from home 1 day a week, or it's let them remote conference in to meetings or whatever.
Do you remember that funny YouTube video that came out about that lady who was trying out for a job, doing an interview, and an older guy was conducting the interview, and they were asking questions, and she said, well, when does the work day start? He says 8 o'clock in the morning. She goes, oh, that doesn't work for me. And he goes, oh, really? Well, what would work for you? She says 10-ish, maybe 11.
10-ish, yes.
Since I was a millennial baby boomer kind of an exchange.
Yes.
Remember that video?
I do remember that video. So, I mean,
attracting young talent with their kind of ideas is way different.
It's
today.
Totally different.
So it's a real competitive world right now because unemployment is low.
So low.
So people, companies need good employees.
Well, good luck if you can get a 4-day work week. Maybe test it out with your boss and say, hey, I'll work 4 days in the office. Maybe could I work 1 day from home?
Yeah. All right.
Good luck. We'll be right back.
Jinx.